Welcome to F'd Up News of the Week. If you've never been to F'd Up News before, this is a stream that I do on Sundays. It is a special Sunday stream in which we review some more F'd Up news. Now, I've had a bit of a week, as many of you know, and so I do want to thank some members of my locals community for coming through and providing some of the F'd Up news articles today. So I really do appreciate that, and I've found some stuff we're going to look at as well. But we're going to start with this. We're going to start with what's going on in Canada. Now, apparently, what is going on in Canada is so crazy. I could probably do an entire stream just based on like how messed up Canada is. But I want to look at a couple of things that, particularly stuck out to me in terms of the insanity around this entire event. This article from Fox News, Canadian state news again suggest Russian forces are behind the trucker freedom convoy. Happy Valentine's Day, which is when this was published. Let's take a read. I'll make this a little bit bigger for you guys. The Canadian Broadcasting Corporation host Harry Forstall and guest cybersecurity expert David suggested Friday that the truckers protesting vaccine mandates in Canada were being directed and manipulated by foreign agents. Who would have a reason right now to cause so much chaos in Canada as possible? While top of the list is Russia. We are actively engaged in a geopolitical battle about the future of Ukraine. By the way, guys, so you guys know, like, my husband is Ukrainian. He has family that live in southern Ukraine. And I keep asking him, I'm like, Victor, are you worried about the situation in Ukraine? And, last night, and he's kind of been saying this, but sometimes my husband is a man of few words. So you have to pull the conversation out of him over several conversations. And last night he basically said, he was like, Carlin, I don't even know why this is such a big deal, because Russia has been pushing into Ukraine for years. Like, this is not new. My brother even went and tried to fight at the front. Russia has been shooting at Ukraine for years. They haven't formally invaded, but they've been doing this crap for years. And the media just never reported on it because they were more interested in reporting on Trump. And I was like, Victor, that makes a ton of sense. Thank you for that explanation. Moving on, Shipley said that the tactics and the creation of the large Facebook groups to foster communication among hundreds of thousands of people was the Russian Internet Research Agency playbook in the clip flagged by media watchdogs, Newsbusters. The CBC guest noted a report alleging that a woman from Missouri, whose name is reportedly listed as the creator of multiple Facebook groups associated with the trucker protests, had a stolen identity. The woman said her page was hacked and that she was not associated with the Canadian protests, according to the media outlet. When I narrowed down my list of suspects, I don't have enough evidence to win in a court of law. But I don't need that right now. Don't you love how they admit it openly? Check out this sentence. Like, let's just wrap our heads around this particular sentence for a moment. When I narrowed down my list of suspects, and I don't have enough evidence to win in a court of law, but I don't need that. This smacks of the kind of moves that Russia has made in the past to the United States and continues to around the world. The reason for the mess, according to the cybersecurity expert, was because the country didn't take the threat of social media disinformation seriously. Oh, yes, exactly. It's all the result of social media disinformation. Of course. That's what it always is, isn't it? Another host previously suggested Russian actors were behind the protests. Given Canada's support of Ukraine in this current crisis with Russia, I don't know if it is far-fetched to ask, but is there concern that Russian actors should be continuing to fuel things as this protest grows, perhaps even instigating it from the outside? Russia. It's always Russia. But that's not the only agency in Canada which has lost their minds. Have you guys been following the Ottawa Police Twitter account? Check this out. This account is I would say that it's pure comedy, but it's actually sad. It's like it's comedy in the way that it makes me laugh because this doesn't directly impact my life, but it's also incredibly sad. I don't know why conservatives trust the police. If conservatives continue to trust the police after what we have seen in Canada, conservatives do not know how to learn and grow and expand their minds. Stop trusting the police. The police are not on your team. Yes, there are good police officers that, well, some people would argue that there are not. I'm going to argue that there are good police officers. I know people that are good police officers. I don't think every cop is universally a bad, demented person. However, the profession of policing is fundamentally rife for abuse. And if you think that the police are there to protect you, no, they are not to protect you. As Sin said, police are the state's team. That is exactly right. But look at this Ottawa police account. Protesters have put children between police operations and the unlawful protest site. The children will be brought to a place of safety. But this was actually my favorite. I quite literally laughed out loud when I read this one to Victor last night. The Ottawa police tweeted around 6 o'clock. We know the events in Ottawa are upsetting. Still, we're asking people to stop calling critical emergency and operational phone lines to express displeasure about the police action to remove an unlawful assembly downtown. So the Ottawa police apparently are getting quite a few phone calls from people telling them to cut this shit out. They got so many phone calls telling them to cut this shit out that they tweeted saying, please stop calling us to express your displeasure with our actions. You know what that means, guys? That means you double down. That means you have a tactic that is working. Everyone needs to continue calling the Ottawa Police Department and expressing your displeasure. That is exactly the right thing to do. Exactly and precisely the right thing to do. So what are they upset about? Hang on. I was supposed to have another article here. Hang on. I had to set this up quickly. Let me find my article. There it is. Found it. Hang on. I have to take my screen down now when I put stuff on my screen because I have a group of stalkers that hate watch everything I do. And so if I don't want to accidentally show you guys information that I don't intend you to see. I just want you to see exactly and precisely the information that I intend you to see to bait you. Here's the article. Why would the Ottawa police be getting some flack? Well, we got this article. Children's Aid Society warns convoy parents to make alternate arrangements. Let's read. Children's Aid Society of Ottawa has warned parents in the Freedom Convoy to make necessary alternate care arrangements should they become unable to care for their children following potential police action. According to the estimates, over 100 truckers have brought their children along for demonstrations. CASO has a mandate to protect a child when their parent becomes unavailable to exercise their custodial rights over the child and the parent has not made adequate provisions for the child's care and custody. If parents and children are separated following police action, they said that they would work to reunite families as soon as possible. I'm sorry, I thought child separation from parents was bad. I remember a lot of Democrats being extremely and extraordinarily upset when this happened at the southern border under Trump. I remember AOC crying outside of a fence. Is child separation good now that we're talking about truckers in Canada? Is it now deemed good? I just can't keep up. I cannot keep up when people keep flip-flopping on their principles. Is child separation from parents bad or is it good? Is it only bad when more right-leaning politicians do it and then it's good when more like insane progressives like Justin Trudeau does it? Is that what I'm hearing? Am I hearing rules for thee, but not for me? Huh. The warning from CASO comes after Ottawa police had called Child Protective Services last week to advise them on how to deal with children present in the trucker convoy. Almost 25% of the 418 trucks have children living in them. Children who could be at risk during a police operation. I've got a really simple solution then. Leave them alone. If they aren't hurting anything, and this is just about you don't like this protest because it's inconvenient for your narrative, why not just leave them alone if they aren't hurting people? And I happen to see, like, anytime I see videos coming out of Ottawa, I see dancing and like kids playing games and people generally having a good time, except for that time when the police came in and trampled a protester with a horse. It seems to me that the police are the ones causing the problems in this situation. It seems to me that that is actually what's occurring. The protesters are fine. They're not hurting anyone. Justin Trudeau is acting like a dictator and is unhappy that the protesters won't just go away, and is now threatening to take not only their pets' ego brain, because I did see that they were threatening to take their pets as well. Not only threatening to take their pets, but now threatening to take their children and freeze their bank accounts, and they're trampling protesters with a horse. I thought we were supposed to support worker uprisings. I'm just so confused. I am so confused about what narrative I'm supposed to be following anymore. Do we like worker uprisings or do we not like worker uprisings? Do we like taking children from their parents or do we not like taking children from their parents? Rules for thee, but not for me, is really what it seems to be at the end of the day. Ottawa, by law and regulatory services, has also notified any Freedom Convoy protesters with pets. Here's the pets part. Of course, I was being that I have pets and not kids myself, I was like, they better not take my dogs. They would not be taking my dogs at all in any way. That their animals would be taken away, even permanently, if arrests take place. If you are unable to care for your animal as a result of enforcement actions, your animal will be placed into protective care for 8 days at your cost. After 8 days, if arrangements have not been made, your animals will be considered relinquished. And then there is a picture of a dog in a truck. So I guess it's okay to take people's pets and their kids and their bank accounts when they're not protesting for the right thing. Protests are fine and an important exercise of the will of the people when we're protesting the things that the leadership support. This is why, I'm sorry, listen, Canadians at this point are showing up American conservatives. At least they're standing up for something. And they're making a point. And they're demonstrating the hypocrisy of this entire situation. Oh, sorry. I think that's Naruto. I forgot to show Naruto, or not Naruto. Sorry, Nat D. I forgot to show your super chat earlier. Nat D, did you hear 6 Antifa guys were shot in Portland? I heard something about that. I haven't looked into it yet. I've had a pretty busy day managing stalkers in my locals community, but I was going to look into that later. And then George Andre Veloso Nunez says it starts with "Don't tell us what to teach your children" and evolves into "We'll take them if you disobey." Yes, taking the children away from the truckers to send them to the re-education camps, of course, to teach them what the state wants them to know instead of what their parents want them to know.